The great secret of creation, the mystery that has eluded so many who strive, struggle, and labor to reshape their world, lies not in the frantic motion of the outer life, but in the quiet certainty of the inner one. Feeling is the hidden law, the invisible architect shaping every contour of your experience, every encounter, every unfolding of destiny. It is not thought alone that manifests, but thought felt, thought fused with emotion. Thought made alive by the vibrational certainty of its fulfillment. For what you feel deeply, what you consent to as true within the sanctuary of your imagination, becomes the command your world must obey. There is no exception, no external authority that overrides the state you occupy. Your feeling creates the state, and the state becomes the cause of everything that appears before you. All things are pushed out, and nothing is withheld from the one who knows how to dwell in the end with the full conviction of its reality. You may have believed that you needed to struggle, pray as though begging some distant power, or wait for signs to confirm your worthiness. But the power has always been intimate, immediate, closer than your own breath. Feeling is the divine language, the original speech through which creation responds. When you understand this, you no longer try to force outcomes with willpower or frenzy. You move inward. You shape the inner atmosphere until it matches the world you desire. And as surely as day follows night, the outer form appears. Everything you have ever called fate, luck, coincidence, or answered prayer was only the echo of an inner state, once felt, once assumed, once entertained as true long before the senses confirmed it. To feel the wish fulfilled is not to pretend, nor is it a fragile hope. It is a deep inner shift, a surrender into certainty, as though the thing desired were already woven into the fabric of your being. This is the art of assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. You do not wait for evidence to make you feel differently. Instead, your feeling becomes the evidence. It becomes the foundation from which your world must reorganize itself. You are not trying to change the world. You are selecting the version of yourself from which a different world naturally arises. Every state has its own world, its own relationships, its own opportunities, its own outcomes. When you enter a state, you automatically summon the experiences that belong to it. Feeling is the doorway to these states, and whichever doorway you walk through determines the landscape you find yourself in. Consider this: your senses are followers, not leaders. They report back to you what you have impressed upon your subconscious through persistent feeling. If you do not like what you see, do not argue with the mirror of life. Instead, transform the imaginal act that precedes the reflection. Feeling is your tool for this transformation. Suppose you desire love, abundance, vitality, or peace. To desire is natural, but desire without feeling is like a seed left upon dry ground. It carries potential, but brings forth nothing. The moment you feel its fulfillment, as though it were already yours, you water the seed. You awaken its creative power. You become the embodiment of the state that contains your desire, and the universe becomes the servant of your inner conviction. The world responds not to your words, nor even to your thoughts, but to the emotional charge beneath them. This is why two people may pray the same prayer, speak the same affirmation, visualize the same scene, yet one receives and the other does not. The difference lies in feeling. To the one who feels the end, the outcome is inevitable. To the one who merely wishes, the end remains distant, a flickering dream with no bridge to reach it. Feeling is that bridge. It is the magnet that draws the invisible into form, the inner certainty that shapes the outer flow of events. When you feel yourself to be the person you long to become, you have already crossed the threshold. The outer world will simply catch up. You may think the world is fixed, that circumstances dictate your emotions, that your history shapes your expectation. But the truth is reversed. Your emotion dictates circumstances, and your expectation shapes history. Feeling is the mold into which your experiences are poured. If you persist in a chronic feeling of lack, the world will faithfully mirror it. If you dwell in the feeling of abundance, even before the senses confirm it, the world must respond with increased opportunities, synchronicities, and pathways that unfold as if by magic. Yet it is not magic. It is law. A law so simple, so direct, so absolute, that the mind conditioned by effort, doubt, and fear often overlooks it. And so, I urge you to become aware of your inner conversations, the quiet murmurs of emotion that color your day. These subtle feelings are creative acts. They are seeds planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and every seed brings forth after its kind. To feel unworthy, even for a moment, plants the seed of rejection. To feel abundant, even when your surroundings suggest otherwise, plants the seed of prosperity. To feel loved, even in solitude, plants the seed of harmonious relationships. Feeling is always creating, whether you are conscious of it or not. But when you become deliberate, when you choose the feeling of the wish fulfilled and nurture it with unwavering constancy, you step into the role of conscious creator. You no longer drift from state to state according to circumstance. You select your state with intention and let the world reshape itself accordingly. Imagination is the chamber in which this sacred work takes place. It is not a mere faculty of the mind, but the workshop of creation, the womb from which form emerges. When you enter your imaginal scene with full sensory awareness and bathe yourself in the feeling of its completion, the subconscious accepts it as fact. And once accepted, it begins the unseen orchestration of events, people, ideas, and circumstances necessary for its manifestation. You may never perceive the threads being pulled, the connections being woven, the silent arrangement unfolding, but you will witness the end result as surely as you sense the rising of the sun. What you feel becomes what you live. Many wonder how feeling can be so powerful, how it can transcend logic, evidence, and present conditions. It is because feeling is the vibration of identity. It is the declaration of who you are being in this moment. And creation responds only to who you are being, not who you wish to be one day, not who you believe you could be, but who you feel you are right now. When you feel from the end, you are declaring, this is already my identity. This is already my truth. And the world must align with the identity you embody. It has no choice, for it is your reflection. Now imagine the freedom in this. Imagine realizing that you are not bound by your past, not held hostage by circumstances, not limited by logic or probability. You may have been conditioned to believe that you must work harder, wait longer, beg louder, or prove yourself worthy. But the true key lies within. Feeling allows you to bypass every obstacle, every apparent limitation, and move straight into the experience of your desire. When you feel the ideal, you claim it, you wear it, you live it inwardly, and life, obedient to the vibration you emanate, rearranges itself to match. This is why persistence is essential. The outer world often lags behind the inner shift. If you judge the process too early, if you allow doubt to return, if you slip back into the old state because the senses have not yet confirmed the new, you interrupt the manifestation. But when you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled regardless of appearances, you allow the state to solidify. You remain loyal to the unseen reality until it becomes the seen one. And in that moment, you will realize that the transformation occurred within you long before it occurred around you. Your feeling is not a reaction to life. It is the cause of life. When you grasp this, you will no longer wait for circumstances to justify your joy, your confidence, your abundance, or your wholeness. You will generate the feeling first, knowing that circumstances must follow. You will walk into every day as the creator, not the creation, as the cause, not the effect. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Your imagination becomes your home, your feeling becomes your compass, and manifestation becomes a natural outflow of the inner state you have chosen. This is the power that has always been yours. This is the secret waiting patiently within you, longing to be recognized. Feeling is the gateway to the life you desire, the key that unlocks the door to every possibility. When you master the art of feeling the wish fulfilled, you step into the limitless nature of your own consciousness. You become the author of your experience, the director of your destiny, the shaper of your world. And the world, in turn, becomes the radiant reflection of the inner reality you have embraced. Yet, the true prayer is the inner acceptance, the felt conviction that what you desire is already yours. Not will be, not may be, not could be, but is. When you feel the wish fulfilled, when you enter the state of the answered prayer and clothe yourself in the emotion of its completion, you have already set creation in motion. The universe, responding to the vibration of your assumption, begins to rearrange itself with uncanny precision. People, circumstances, and events flow into alignment, often in ways that the linear mind could never predict. What seems like coincidence is the movement of your deeper self orchestrating the outer world to match the inner decree. Feeling is not merely a reaction, it is a causative force, a generator of worlds. You are not here to plead with reality, but to command it through the state you choose to occupy. This inner state is not a fleeting thought or a moment of wishful thinking. It is a sustained atmosphere, a dwelling place, a posture of consciousness. It is the inner climate of knowing, the certainty that the unseen is more real than the visible, that imagination is the only true creative power. When you understand that the world you see with your senses is but the shadow of your inner world, you stop fighting the shadow. You stop wrestling with effects, and instead you tend to the cause. For every feeling sustained becomes a seed, and every seed must bear fruit after its own kind. A feeling of abundance cannot produce poverty. A feeling of love cannot produce rejection. A feeling of security cannot manifest chaos. But many unknowingly nurture feelings of doubt, fear, resentment, or unworthiness, and then wonder why life echoes these states back to them. They look to the mirror of life for validation, but the mirror can only reflect what stands before it. Change the nature of the observer, and the reflection is transformed automatically. So, I urge you to become intensely aware of the feelings you habitually entertain. They are the silent music you emit, the vibrational signature by which the universe recognizes you. Every emotion is a signal, a broadcast, and the world responds faithfully. If you carry an inner tone of disappointment, even without speaking it, life hears it. If you walk with the feeling of lack, even if you chant abundance, affirmations all day, the true command is the feeling you harbor. But the moment you shift that inner tone, the universe shifts with you. That is the sacred power that so many overlook. They cling to logic, to effort, to action stripped of inner alignment, and they wonder why results come slowly. Yet once they feel themselves into the new state, action becomes inspired, effortless, and guided. It is no longer the frantic push of the will, but the natural expression of the state of fulfillment. To feel the wish fulfilled is to rehearse the vibration of your chosen future until it becomes your present identity. You are not trying to attract something outside of you. You are becoming the version of yourself for whom the desire is already natural. You merge with the version of you that has already lived the outcome. And when you occupy that version, reality bends to accommodate it. This is not fantasy. It is the spiritual law by which all manifestation occurs. You are consciousness, and consciousness is infinite in potential. Every version of you already exists in the field of possibilities, and feeling is the bridge between where you stand and where you choose to be. When you feel the end, the path reveals itself. Doors appear where before there were none. Opportunities emerge, aligned with the state you now embody. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this principle. The mind often seeks complexity, believing that power must be difficult to access. But the greatest power is the simplest. Assume the feeling of the desire, fulfilled, and persist in that state. If the old feelings of doubt or fear return, do not resist them. Gently turn your attention back to the inner scene of completion. Immerse yourself again in the feeling. Feel the warmth of success, the relief of answered desires, the joy of having what you once sought. As you sustain this feeling, your subconscious accepts it as fact. And from that acceptance springs the manifestation. For the subconscious has no sense of humor and no ability to distinguish between reality and imagination. It accepts the feeling as truth and shapes your life accordingly. There is a quiet telepathic current that moves through all minds, a subtle transmission of the state you occupy. When you feel deeply that you are loved, valued, and chosen, You emit a frequency that others unconsciously receive. They respond in ways that mirror your inner conviction. They speak with kindness, admiration, respect, not because you demanded it, but because your state has silently instructed them. Likewise, when you carry the feeling of being unwanted or overlooked, others play their roles accordingly without ever knowing why. There is no need to manipulate anyone or force any outcome. Your feeling does the work. Your inner world communicates with the entire universe. Every person you meet, every circumstance you attract, is compelled by the state you embody. This is why it is essential to master your inner dialogue, for every thought carries a feeling, and every feeling generates movement in the unseen. When you imagine the ideal, do not merely see it, feel it. Let it move through your body. Let it saturate your senses. Let the emotion rise until it becomes more convincing than anything in your outer world. When that feeling becomes natural, your manifestation is inevitable. It cannot be withheld from you, for you are no longer seeking it. You are living it internally, and what is lived within must eventually appear without. The truth is that you are constantly manifesting, whether knowingly or not. Every day you radiate feelings that summon experiences. But when you awaken to this truth, you begin manifesting deliberately. You stop waiting for life to change and instead change the inner self that life must reflect. This is the essence of true creation. It is not external effort but internal alignment. You are not shaping matter. You are shaping consciousness, and consciousness shapes matter. To embrace this is to step into your true power, the power that has always been yours, but perhaps has lain dormant beneath layers of doubt or misunderstanding. When you feel abundance, the universe must show you abundance in ways beyond your current comprehension. When you feel loved, you draw love from every corner of your world. When you feel healthy, your body reorganizes itself to match that state. The body is the servant of consciousness, responding faithfully to its command. Even physical conditions, considered stubborn or chronic, begin to shift when you occupy the state of perfect well-being. It may come gradually or suddenly, but it must come, for feeling is the secret force behind all healing, transformation, and renewal. And when you move with sustained conviction, when you persist in the feeling, even in the face of contradictory appearances, you become unstoppable. Appearances are merely echoes of old states, shadows of past feelings. They have no power unless you give them power. Ignore the old reality, not by resisting it, but by recognizing it as a former assumption now dissolving. Turn your attention to the feeling of the new reality, the one you have chosen, the one that harmonizes with your highest vision. Persist in that feeling until it becomes second nature, until you no longer have to remind yourself, because it simply is. As you do this, something extraordinary happens. The boundary between desire and fulfillment dissolves. You no longer feel the hunger of wanting, for you have entered the satisfaction of having. And from this inner fulfillment, manifestation becomes a natural outflow. You become a magnet for the experiences aligned with your inner state. You begin moving through life with ease, certainty, and a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken, not because you are forcing outcomes, but because you have aligned with the deeper truth of your being, that you are the operant power, the creator of your reality, the master of your inner world, the primordial substance from which all things take form. When you touch this truth, not intellectually but emotionally, you begin to understand why feeling is the secret. For imagination without feeling is like a seed without soil present, full of potential, yet unable to take root. But when feeling is added, when the inner atmosphere becomes fertile with belief, the seed bursts into life. Your assumptions crystallize, your desires begin their inevitable journey toward visibility. And the outer world responds as faithfully as a mirror reflecting the face that stands before it. To feel the wish fulfilled is to rise into a higher dimension of consciousness, where the desired state is already a fact. You do not wait for evidence, you become the evidence. You do not search for signs, you emanate the signal that produces them. This is not pretending, nor is it self-deception. It is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and what you accept as true within yourself must outpicture as the events of your life. Every moment you choose what you are. You may not choose the facts of the outer world as they now appear, but you always choose the inner state from which those facts arise. And if you persist in the feeling of the new state, the outer facts cannot help but rearrange to express it. There is a great tenderness in this law, for it does not judge your desires or weigh your worthiness. It responds only to your inner movement. Even now, as you listen, you are creating. Your feeling is molding the formless. The question is not whether you are manifesting, because you always are, but what you are manifesting through the state you habitually occupy. If you dwell in fear, life mirrors fear. If you dwell in peace, life mirrors peace. If you dwell in the vibrant thrill that what you desire is already done, life must echo that thrill through the unfolding of events that match it. Many say they want change, but they cling to the feeling of the old state. They want abundance but feel lack. They want love but feel unworthy. They want success but feel doubt. You cannot enter a new state while emotionally remaining in the old. The doors between states swing on the hinges of feeling. To pass from one state to another, you must carry with you the emotion that belongs to the new. You must ask, what would I feel if it were already done? And then you must feel that now, not tomorrow, not when conditions change, but now, because now is the only creative moment. Time is not a barrier. Time is the unfolding of what you have already accepted. The delay you experience is not the universe being slow. It is you shifting from the wavering feeling of two worlds into the firm conviction of one. When you master the art of feeling, you master the art of reality. You begin to see that your inner world and your outer world are not separate, but one continuous expression of your consciousness. The inner is the cause, the outer is the effect. The inner is the script, the outer is the performance. And feeling is the actor that animates the script into living action. Without feeling, the script lies dormant. With feeling, it becomes life. The moment you feel yourself to be the person you desire to be, you have already written the script of your world, and soon the stage of life will reveal the characters, the settings, and the circumstances that correspond to your new identity. Do not confuse feeling with emotion alone. Emotion can be fleeting, feeling is deeper. It is a knowing, a saturation of consciousness, a steady inner temperature. It is the vibration you hold when no one is looking, when the mind is still, when the world is quiet. It is the silent agreement you make with reality. When you say within yourself, "This is who I am," and you feel the truth of it, you have invoked the law in its full power. And the wonderful thing is that you can do this at any moment. You can do it in a crowded room or in the solitude of the night. You can do it in the midst of chaos or in the calm of meditation. Feeling is not limited by circumstance. It creates circumstance. The outer world does not bring you the feeling. The feeling brings you the outer world. If you wait for conditions to justify the feeling, you will remain stuck in the cycle of repetition, always reacting and never creating. But if you dare to generate the feeling before the evidence appears, you break the cycle and step into the role of conscious creator. You lift yourself out of the old patterns and declare a new reality through the emotional signature you choose. This is the essence of faith, not hoping for something to come, but feeling it as a present fact, even when the senses contradict it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, because feeling gives substance to the unseen. Your imagination is not a place of fantasy, it is the workshop of creation. And feeling is the fire that forges the unseen into form. When you imagine with feeling, you speak to the deeper layers of consciousness where all things are possible. You communicate with the universal mind, with the intelligence that permeates everything. And this intelligence responds without hesitation, without judgment, always giving form to the state you inhabit. You are never alone in this process. There is a vast, unseen support system, a field of infinite potential that bends to your assumption. You may call it God, the universe, the higher self, or consciousness, it matters not. What matters is that it responds unerringly to the feeling you sustain. This is why idle thoughts do not manifest, but emotionally charged assumptions do. A thought without feeling is like a whisper in a hurricane, barely noticed and quickly forgotten. But a thought fused with deep feeling becomes a command, a decree that shakes the very structure of your reality. You have felt this in your own life. Remember the times you were consumed with worry, fear, or expectation. How quickly the world seemed to mirror those emotions. Or the times you felt the quiet certainty of success, and suddenly opportunities, people, and events aligned effortlessly. That was not coincidence, that was the law in action. Every state has its own vibration, and every vibration seeks expression. When you inhabit the state of your desire with feeling, you activate its vibration. You become a tuning fork resonating with the reality you seek. And reality, like a great symphony, rearranges itself to harmonize with your note. This is not magic, this is law. The universe is not random, it is responsive. And you are not a passive participant, but an active conductor of your experience. So ask yourself now, what am I feeling? Not what am I thinking, but what am I feeling? For your feeling is your prayer, your command, your invitation to the universe. Your feeling is the magnet drawing to you everything that matches its frequency. And the beautiful truth is that you can change that feeling in an instant. You can shift your state as easily as changing your posture. The moment you alter your inner vibration, the moment you choose to feel differently, the entire trajectory of your life changes. It may not appear instantly on the surface, but the seed is planted and the harvest is certain. You do not need to know how it will unfold. You only need to sustain the feeling of the end. The how is the domain of the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. Your task is only to feel the reality of the wish fulfilled and persist in that feeling despite appearances. When doubt arises, return to the feeling. When fear whispers, return to the feeling. When the world contradicts your inner vision, return again to the feeling. Do this faithfully, and the outer world will surrender. It must, for it is nothing more than the shadow of your inner state. The moment you give your feeling allegiance to the unseen rather than the seen, you become unstoppable. You become a master of creation, a conscious sculptor of reality who knows that the outer world has no choice but to reflect the inner one. And in this mastery, you discover a profound freedom. You cease to be a victim of circumstance and become the orchestrator of destiny. You realize that nothing is impossible, that every desire is a doorway in a new state of consciousness, and that the key to every doorway is feeling. You need not strain to feel, you only need to relax into the assumption. Feel it lightly at first, like a gentle breeze. Then let it deepen. Let it settle into your being until it becomes natural. Soon, feeling becomes your new normal. And when that happens, the world must conform. Creation is finished, and you merely align with the version of yourself who already has what you seek. You step into that identity through feeling. And once you do, the journey is complete. The rest is simply the unfolding of what is already true. Your feeling is the prophecy of your future, the energetic signature that summons your destiny. Guard it, nurture it, choose it deliberately. For the one who masters feeling masters life itself. And so, as we draw these ideas together, understand that nothing in your life is fixed except by the state you refuse to leave. The world is malleable, fluid, obedient to the command of your inner feeling. You are not a traveler lost in a universe of accidents. You are the animator of the very stage upon which you stand. Every desire is a call from your deeper self, a reminder of what is already prepared for you in the unseen. The question is never whether it is possible, but whether you will dare to feel it real before it appears. To feel the wish fulfilled is to align with the creative essence of your being, to claim your inheritance as the operant power of your world. Do not look to the outer to confirm what you hold within. Let your feeling become the evidence. Let your imagination become the doorway. Let your assumption become the law. And when doubts arise, as they will in moments, when habit tries to reassert itself, return at once to the inner chamber where your desire already lives. Feel it again. Possess it again. Accept it again. For persistence is the golden thread that weaves the invisible into the visible. You are always becoming what you feel. Choose then to feel with intention. Choose to feel with purpose. Choose to feel the end, not as a distant hope, but as the living reality of this very moment. For when you do, the world will reshape itself around your conviction. And you will discover that the great secret was never hidden from you at all. It was simply waiting for you to feel it. And now, as you step back into the theater of your everyday life, carry with you this one unshakable truth. Feeling is the secret, and you are the one who holds it.